Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching video number 4 of 52 that I have promised you this year. Today, we are going to talk about 3 strategies you need to consider when you're choosing a domain name. Remember, this is big business look on a small business budget. I run my entire company on free and affordable online resources, and so can you. Last week we talked about you got an LLC set up. It is ready to go, but you need a web presence. You need an online presence, so let's get a domain name. Now, you can't just go out there and choose something and then hope that, okay, I'm going to rank on Google. I got a great idea. I got a good business. I'm just going to rank. No, you've got to be somewhat careful with that. You got to be somewhat strategic about it. So today we have a guest, Deacon Hayes. He's got Phoenix SEO Company here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're gonna talk about 3 things that you need to consider when choosing a domain name. I will have the show notes and some video resources for you in the description. Here we go. So hello everyone, thanks for watching this today, and I just want to introduce you to, like I said before, I want to introduce you to Deacon Hayes. He owns Phoenix SEO Company here in obviously Phoenix, Arizona, and I got a few questions for him today, and he's going to share his knowledge and give us some feedback on finding and choosing a domain name for your web presence. So getting right into it, I want to start out with Deacon, the number one thing that you would ask your customer, before you start with anything else, what would you ask them if they have no website, they have no domain name or anything? What is the first thing that you would ask them?
Yeah, so what kind of business or service are you offering, right? So we really want to get down to what are people actually searching for to find your company. And so considering putting those inside your domain name, right? So really knowing that if you're a pool cleaner, that potentially you want pool cleaning in your domain name. If you're a mover that does pianos, you want to potentially have, piano moving or piano movers in your domain name. So really understanding what your core business model is and the services that you provide, products that you sell, and catering your domain name around that.
Okay, excellent. So what about, for getting into number 2, what are your thoughts on how important is it to target your market locally or at a national level? Would you consider that being like another important point when choosing a domain name?
Yeah, it absolutely can. And you got to think long term, right? Because you might think right now that you want to be in a local area. And so you might say, hey, I want to be, GlendalePoolCleaning.com. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, but I also want to do Tucson and, Tempe and yada, yada, yada. And so you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. However, if you're in a really niche business, let's say you have like a location in Glendale and you're like, okay, well, this is my business and I want to be number 1. It can definitely be beneficial to have, the state, the city within your domain name as well.
Absolutely. Okay, makes sense. Now, what if someone is coming right out of the box and they don't have a website, they don't have a domain name, but what would be the best way to escalate or to be ranked on Google the quickest as far as a domain? What would you consider point number 3 be on that? What would you ask them?
Yeah, so believe it or not, there's actually established websites for sale that you can purchase and kind of get their authority. So the thing when you get a domain from scratch is you're starting off at 0, right? Or actually 1. You have a domain authority of 1. And domain authority is a scale of 1 to 100. Well, 1 means you're just starting out, right? But you could actually go buy a domain that already has authority, like a 20 or a 30, and that will give you a leg up over the competition. So you can start writing new content and ranking quicker that way.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What if someone went out and they set up their business entity as far as they have an LLC now? For example, myself, I have an LLC that's JCT LLC. That's very generic. That's not really specific to my industry, which is web design and technology consulting. I hear about getting a DBA, doing business as, and you can get as many of those as you want. What do you recommend with that as far as relation to
purchasing a domain name?
Yeah, so a DBA can be great because you can operate, like in your circumstances, if it's JCT, you could actually do, JT Web Designs, right? Could be or JCT Web Designs could be your actual, domain name. And you just register that and you can get checks written to you and process them through the bank, but you don't actually have to have the LLC. So it makes it a lot simpler and gives you a lot of versatility on what you can do domain-wise.
Okay, excellent. Do you have any other input as far as if someone was wanting to get some SEO services, if they've purchased their domain and they kind of want to go to that next step, what would you recommend them for a small business who might be on a budget? Are there a couple things you can recommend for that?
Yeah, so there's two guys that I love that have free resources like you wouldn't believe. So one of them is Neil Patel and the other one is Brian Dean. If you Google either one of those guys, they'll come up to the top. And they have, beginner's guide to SEO. They've got videos, they've got podcasts. So, for those entrepreneurs that are kind of the do-it-yourselfers, I would definitely start there because there's definitely a foundation you can build on your own.
Okay, excellent. Now, how long has your company been in business? How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, since 2012 for Phoenix SEO, and I've been doing it since 2010, but yeah, officially for other clients since 2012.
Okay, and how long did it take you? Like, did you start out? Did you have an established domain? Did you want to target locally, or what did you decide? What was your first step, and when you established this?
So my thought process was similar, and this sounds funny, but to like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. So back in their day, the phone book was the way to get found, right? And so Atari was the big player back then. So they were thinking, hey, if we could name our company Apple, we would show up above the, Atari, which is the big competitor at the time. So for me, it was kind of like, well, how do I choose a domain name that's very simple that will kind of outrank the competition? So I started from scratch. I bought Phoenix SEO Co. And I actually tried to buy PhoenixSEOcompany.com, but somebody else had already bought it. And so I started from scratch, and then I just built it up naturally.
Okay. Now, do you have clients that are locally and nationally, or if you were Phoenix SEO Co., how are people finding you nationally on a national level? How's that work?
Yeah, so I lucked out because Phoenix is also kind of a rising bird, right? Like, so you can kind of play off the fact that it's not just Phoenix, Arizona, that you're rising in the ranks of Google. So I kind of lucked out. It's harder for some people if it's like, somethingville or, but the reality is, yeah, we have national clients now, and a lot of it's word of mouth. Some of it is from searching out of state. But yeah, we've kind of grown from that local to national level. So that's definitely something to consider when choosing your domain name.
Okay, excellent. Dika, thank you so much. These have been great points. So other than that, thanks for coming by, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Remember, this is Big Business Look on a Small Business Budget. I run my entire company on free and affordable online resources, and so can you.